Now that brings us to staying on the road. And today we're going to talk about how low voltage sucks the life right out of your RV appliances. So the question might come up, why does low voltage exist in RV parks? Power surges are typically what RVers prepare for. They don't prepare for low voltage. And low voltage doesn't exist in all RV parks. It is quite commonly found in older RV parks, ones that were built before RVs had more of the electronics than they have today. It can even be an RV with 2 air conditioners, just pushes the limit in some of these older RV parks. Or maybe it's a newer park, not brand new, but a newer park, and the infrastructure just wasn't done that well. Maybe the company that did it just didn't really understand what they were doing. They're just running cables and putting in outlets, so that's the issue. You don't really know what you get at each park, and they might not be able to support the higher power demands. And now even some newer parks might experience low voltage for one reason or for another as well. It could be a brand new park and maybe something just went wrong. They didn't use the right components, and maybe the park doesn't understand it as well. It's an investment group type of thing, and they just built an RV park. So it can be found everywhere, low voltage. But it can also be a controversial topic in an RV park that has low voltage. Park managers, or if it's an owner-operated park, sometimes they're going to defend their systems to the detriment of their RV. They're going to say, no way, our power is good, you're the problem, your RV is the problem. Because if they say they have the problem, it's an admission to an infrastructure that is old or just flat out lacking. Or it could even be a park that has had an expansion and they tapped into the existing power grid without really expanding its capabilities, so they just weakened it. That's kind of what people do in their homes. They just add cables to existing cables without really doing it properly, and then they start running on low voltage in their home or having breakers popping all the time because they didn't do it properly. So the question arises, what should the shore power or the voltage be at an RV park? It should be 120 volts, and it should stay right at 120 volts as you're using it. Now, this might vary from park to park and from time of year and even time of day. All these variables can play into it, but it should be at 120 or really close to it. And as your RV powers up, you start running your air conditioning, things like that, and later in the day of the park, more people are running their appliances. The power should stay at a consistent 120, 118, 119. It shouldn't be dropping down, going down, down, down. If you're at a park and the voltage drops to 108 volts, that's getting too low. So a Hughes Autoformer or a Hughes Voltage Booster, if you had one, would boost that back up to approximately 118 volts. That is a safe range. So having that power up there is very important, and that's what we're going to discuss about in this segment here. Because, we kind of wonder, well, what does low voltage do? Maybe you've been at parks and you've never been affected by low voltage, or that you know of. But maybe you're not there all the time or for lengths of time. Now, I stayed at an RV park, or had my RV at an RV park in Arizona for about 6 months. And it was during the summer, late spring, summer, early fall. And after that, I needed a new air conditioner and a new refrigerator. And I can attribute it to low voltage. At the time, I wasn't 100% sure, but after the fact, it's like looking back, okay, now I understand what happened. Now, that's my problem. I should have been on top of that, especially being in the RV industry at the time. Should have known better. So the low voltage is going to affect your RV in different ways. And when what it is when the line usage sees an increase. In other words, others in the RV park are turning on their 110 volt appliances. And that's going to include air conditioners, microwaves, everything that's in an RV. The line usage is increasing that point, but the voltage will drop. When line voltage drops, more amps are being used by everyone in their 110 volt appliances. Then the more amps that are drawn can cause the following problems. And this is where it really comes in. to be an issue. Like you can have a dramatic airflow or reduction in airflow on your air conditioner. And maybe you've heard it, the air conditioner starts kind of running a little bit slower, but also a lot of components like air conditioners, the greater the airflow, it keeps everything else cooler that needs to stay cool. Circuit boards, the blower motor, things like that. So it not only slows down the airflow in the RV, so it's not as efficient, but it's also damaging the motor. And excessive motor heat, which is about 40% of all motor failures, is because of excessive heat, can ruin the motor. So it actually drops the voltage, and it can, see an exceed, or it can actually withstand like a 5 to 10% drop in voltage. But when it starts exceeding that, the motor becomes at a dangerous level because the amperage is too much. It's pulling too much on the motor, and it starts to get hot, and then it's going to burn up over time. It's not going to happen right away. This sometimes takes, over a period of time. Your lights will dim, the breakers will start popping, or you're pushing the amps just below the point of allowing the motors to heat up, and then you're putting the coach at a risk of fire. All these little things that can happen, and not that these things are happening all day, every day. You don't see RVs catching on fire because the motor's just right at that point where it's just getting hotter, hotter, and hotter, but it's not going to fail, and the circuit breaker's not going to pop. A lot of people rely on circuit breakers, but they're not always going to pop when you think they should. Sometimes they just catch on fire and start burning before they ever pop, if they do. It happens. They're supposed to pop, but they don't always do that. So these things can be happening in the background that can be creating the low voltage and causing problems in the RV. Microwaves are affected by it, air conditioners, those are the two major things. So now, does this mean that you need to run out and buy a voltage booster to battle this potential problem? I'm going to say no. First, you need to evaluate where you use your RV. Are you going to old RV parks that might have these problems, or you go to new RV parks where they don't? And one way to check is having a good digital voltmeter inside the RV and monitor it throughout the day at these RV parks you go to, if you go to the same, if you kind of visit them regularly. Now, if you're camping off the grid, you're not plugging into a park, probably not going to be an issue because you're not plugging into anything other than possibly your generator, but you might have solar, so it's not even an issue. So you need to be familiar with the parks and where you go. And then you decide if you need a voltage booster or not. But I'm going to tell you a good reason why to just get one regardless as we come to the end here. There's a little more to all of this. So if you decide to purchase one, you'll need to know whether you have a 30 amp or 50 amp service on your RV. That seems like a very simple question. But from our experience in our store and talking to people on the phone, they quite often don't know whether they have a 30 amp or 50 amp service. So you have to understand that. A 30 amp is a 3-prong cord, a 50 amp is a 4-prong cord. I'm talking about the end that would plug into shore power. Yours might be hardwired into the RV, or your cord might twist in. That's a different deal, but the end that plugs into the shore power, well, the whole cord would be 50 or 30 amps, but that's what makes it easy to identify. And, some RV parks, well, you might be at an RV park and using a voltage booster, and some well-intentioned campers might say that they'll see that it's a Hughes Autoformer, and they might say, well, that's stealing power. The manager might even tell you that. Well, they don't steal power. There's no way for them to steal power. They're just boosting the power. They can't steal what's not there. All they do is boost the power. And a lot of park managers will turn this into a problem. And it's because they don't understand that the voltage booster simply converts amps to volts. And the breaker at the pole regulates the maximum amount of power you can draw. So it'd be impossible to take more power than the amount the park allotted to you, unless it was tampered with. Someone's messing with it, which you wouldn't be doing that. It's not only unethical, it could be dangerous, it's illegal. So you're not going to tamper with the power pole. And, most parks will flip out if you ever do that. Even if you call an electrician out on your dime, they're going to flip out. They're in control of that pole, and they want it to be that way. And there's probably some good reasons, because some people might do things wrong, and then the next person that hooks up has a serious problem, or you do, then you blame it on the park. So be cautious there. But it can't steal power that's not there. All it's doing is boosting it. And some parks will ban a power booster. They'll see that Hughes name on there. Oh, no, you can't use that. Get that out of here. In the past, there's been some other brands that'd be the same thing. So if you find yourself at one of these parks, stay calm. Just explain how power boosters work. But maybe before you even get to that point of plugging it in, see what the voltage is. See if you do need to use it. And then plug your booster in. And then if they have a fit, try to comfort them, take them to the Hughes Autoformer website, let them see for themselves. They can Google it as well. Let them understand it. And you might change it where they can understand this now, and they'll allow other RVers to use their voltage booster without it being a big deal. They can lower the band, because that's happened. Some RV parks just ban these things. You can't use that here. You're stealing our electricity. And if they insist that you can't use it, there might be a problem in the park, and it might be a park you no longer want to go to. Because of that reason, maybe they do have low voltage and they just don't care. They don't want to admit it, and it becomes your problem. So the investment for a voltage booster is not that much money compared to a lot of other things you purchase for an RV. So if you have a 30 amp system, you're going to be spending less than $500 for one of these. If you have a 50 amp system, you're going to be spending around $750. Now, the cool thing is they have a surge protector that's built into it, and you can replace it. It doesn't have to go back to Hughes. It doesn't have to go back to a dealership. You can do it. And that's nice, because now you don't have to have a voltage or a surge protector, because it's built in. Now, if you have a surge protector and you were to buy one of these voltage boosters, you could put the surge protector in front of it and give it a double protection, if you will. So the first surge protector, maybe the less expensive one, would take the hit and protect the voltage booster if you were concerned about that. And the replacement surge protectors for the Hughes Autoformers aren't that expensive. They're under $50. And they're going to last, depending on how much you use it, how many voltage surges there are, things that can damage it, wear it out over time, then you might have to replace it. Like I said, under $50, it lasts you 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. That is not a big deal. So when you think about that, buying a voltage booster, let's say you have a 30 amp system and you're going to spend $475, under $500. A surge protector, a good one, could be $150 to $300 or more, depending on what you buy and how it's installed, if it's hardwired in or if it's just goes in line. So a little extra money might be worth it. That way you always have the voltage booster and the surge protector in one nice, neat package. Makes it easier to use. So I hope that makes sense. And low voltage is a problem in RV parks, or it can be a problem, and it damages your RV, so it can cost you money. And there's a lot of reasons why you don't want that to happen. One thing off the top of my head is, your microwave fails, and I've talked about this before. You can't just go out and buy a new microwave. In most cases, it's going to fit right back in. Microwaves come and go. So it saves you the headache of that. That microwave is going to last a lot longer. In fact, I have a Hughes Autoformer, because that's what they used to be called, were Autoformers. I'm just stuck on that name. I have one. I brought it to the store. It is at least 15 years old. It is so basic. It has 2 lights on the front of it, and that's it. Now they have much more stuff on them, but the thing still works. And I still use it. And it's over 15 years old. Now that's pretty cool. So these things are worth the investment. They're going to last. And if it were to break, you can always send it back to Hughes. They'll take care of it. So in the last section of the show today, RV Envy, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Hughes Autoformer and the warranty and some of the things that you need to know about purchasing it. Okay, so you can go to HughesAutoformers.com, or you can go to our website, sunpromfg.com. We have the Autoformers on there, the exact same price as Hughes. They're having a special, they're giving away some things, and we have the identical deal going on our website as well. So obviously we prefer you to go to our website, sunpromfg.com. They're right on the home page, or if you can't see them on the home page, just click on RV Power, and there they are.